my name is Natalie Hinton, and I am your host for Education Chat, a podcast by students for students in the Inland Empire. In today's episode, we will be highlighting the experiences of LGBTQ plus students. Since most schools are not in session during June, which is commonly known as Pride Month, a lot of colleges in the Inland Empire have been recognizing April, also known as Gaypril, as an opportunity to raise awareness and acknowledge their LGBTQ plus student body. Today, we will be chatting with a student president of a Pride Club, sharing tips on how to be a better ally, and providing resources for those that identify as part of the LGBTQ plus community. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Pride Month is currently celebrated every year in the month of June to honor the 1969 Stonewall riots in Manhattan. The Stonewall riots were a tipping point for the gay liberation movement in the United States. The purpose of having a dedicated month is to recognize the impact that lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and other queer individuals have had on history, both locally, nationally, and even internationally. A survey conducted in 2020 found that nearly 17% of all undergraduate and graduate students identify with a sexual identity other than straight, with about 2% of those students identifying as transgender. While the LGBTQ plus community makes up almost 1/5 of all college students, they can still be underrepresented on their campuses, especially those located in traditionally anti-LGBT cities and counties. A majority of people who dislike members of the LGBTQ plus community have never actually known a queer person on a personal level. So I want to welcome our guest for this episode of Education Chat, Ross Darlings. Ross is the Crafton Hills College Pride Club president, and they are studying veterinary medicine with the hopes of helping exotic animals such as birds and giraffes. We will be speaking to them today about their duties as president and how they navigate education as a member of the queer community. So thank you so much for meeting with me today, Ross.
Hi.
So I'd love for you to introduce yourself to the audience, give me your pronouns, and tell me a little bit about what you're doing in school and outside of it.
Okay, so my name is Ross Darlings. I use they, them pronouns. I am currently going to school for veterinary medicine. The goal is to transfer out into UC San Diego, and I rescue birds in my free time. I do art on the side. I have a whole plethora of stuff that I get done. Yeah.
And you're president of Pride Club too?
Yes.
And what do you do as president of the Pride Club?
Right now I currently run a newsletter for the Pride Club. It goes out every Friday, and I try to encompass local events. I give a rundown on things that have happened on campus. I try to be as involved as possible with Pride Club right now.
And I'd love to know a little bit more about you, because I know quite a bit about Pride Club. You guys are pushing for a lot of new LGBT safe spaces on this campus, but I'd love to know, when did you first realize you were queer?
I actually figured that I was queer when I was super young. I think when we moved to the US, and one of the first things that I saw on TV was The Lion King, and I was thinking, I want to be the boy lion, actually. And it sort of stuck. I was never very stereotypical with all of the normal girl stuff. I was never very stuck on one or the other gender. It's always been either or, maybe both. I did a lot of sports growing up, a lot of unfemininely sports. I did do football in high school. I did baseball for a little bit. I played tennis. It's probably the girliest sport I've done. Oh no, I did ice skating too. All of these other, gender was not really something that I got along with very well. So I've known that for a while. And yeah.
Yeah, do you think there was a point in your life where it kind of just clicked, like, oh, maybe I'm not the gender I was born as?
Yeah, I think I've had that for ever. I think I've known that one forever. I definitely knew I could not be a girl.
Yeah.
I could not be one consistently, at least. I mean, I've got the girly days, sure.
Yeah.
I've got very masculine days. I've got very God, whatever I feel like. But it was never a question to me, at least. That's something I've always had, and I've been very comfortable with it. ever since. Yeah.
So I'd say you probably have a pretty big wardrobe since you have, more feminine days, more masculine days. Like today you're wearing a very pretty red skirt. You can't see it on camera, but I promise it is beautiful. So do you feel like getting to dress like a certain mode each day really helps with your identity?
Yeah, I think so. I think getting to dress masculine on masculine days, it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like to feel myself when I wake up.
Yeah.
And it's always it's very nice. Yeah. It's just very nice in general.
Yeah. I do like your fashion sense a lot. Before we got into the study room, the person at the library complimented your glasses.
Yes.
And I do think they're very cute. They do match nice with your skirt.
Thank you.
And of course, your identity is very important with you. It's something you've probably been struggling and trying to accept for a while and trying to navigate.
Yeah. There have been a lot of people who are like, okay, well, you have to pick one.
Yeah.
And one is not an option. I've never wanted it to be an option. I've never considered it an option either. It's like, well, I can have all, actually. And who are you to tell me I can't? And I've had teachers, I've had professors who are like, okay, you have to pick one, though.
Yeah.
Like, there is no they, them in a singular sense, which is wrong. Actually, they, them has been used in a singular sense since the 13th century. That is as far back as that goes. So that's long.
Yeah.
And you use they, them to refer to someone you don't know the gender to, singularly. You use it when you're trying to talk about, like, someone that you saw in general.
Yeah.
And it's, whenever people are like, okay, yeah, but you have to pick one. There's no one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to know, has your identity affected the way you've been treated in an educational setting? Like, you just mentioned that your teachers were like, you need to pick one.
Yeah, I've had that before. When I was in high school, I had this teacher who was very, very, very not a great guy. I guess it was sort of a snowball thing because he also didn't like that I am from the Philippines. He was not a fan of that. But he always made it a point whenever we had topics sort of hinting at queer issues or topics hinting at like brown issues, and he would be like, oh, I bet you have something to say about it. Point me out. He gave me the lowest possible grade in that class, even though I had perfect scores every test. So
that is horrible.
Awful guy, yeah.
I know. It's crazy how some people can just treat you off of how you introduce yourself. Yeah. It's really rough. And I know that on Crafton, I don't think we have any gender neutral bathrooms on this campus.
We don't. Yeah, well, no, we really don't.
I know. I just noticed that while I was walking here, and I'm like, male, female, male, female, male, female.
Yes.
We don't have many spaces where it's just like a bathroom, where it's a toilet and a sink on the inside.
Yeah. Oh, we do actually in the Crafton Center. It's on the top floor. It's kind of hard to get to.
Yeah.
I found that one out by accident on a visit here. And it's two separate stalls, but it's like hidden.
Yeah.
So it's like far away. But I mean, I guess it's meant to be that way.
Yeah. But only having one on a campus that is huge.
Oh yeah.
Crafton is massive. That's going to be difficult for students who don't identify with either gender and don't feel comfortable going into either bathroom.
Yeah.
So moving on to that, do you feel like there's enough support on this campus for queer youth? And if not, what do you think needs to be changed? Before we find out if Ross thinks that there is enough support on their campus for LGBTQ plus students, I would like to take some time to chat about how we can support queer students in our everyday lives. Because it is so important to help them feel like they are safe and welcomed while pursuing their education. So here are 5 easy ways to be a better ally or advocate for the LGBTQ plus community as either a student or a faculty member. First up, one of the simplest things you can do is put your pronouns wherever your name may occur. This can include your social media profile, your email signature, or an event program. Even if you feel like your gender expression already reflects what pronouns you use, this can prevent transgender students from being harassed by others for clarifying their pronouns. It can also signify that you are a safe person to reach out to. Number 2, while their identities may be an important part of themselves, clarify when and where you can use their preferred name and pronouns. An estimated 83% of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender population hide their identity from most people in their lives. They may do this for many reasons, such as safety or fear of judgment, so it is important to clarify what situations are safe for them to be out. Number 3, try to attend the LGBT events hosted on your campus. These events are typically hosted mostly in April and are very easy to access. They help educate you on important topics such as correct terminology and current social issues. It also allows you to ask questions without judgment and meet other LGBTQ students. Unfortunately, these events tend to have low turnout, but they are so immensely important for those who are willing to learn. Number 4, be open to correction. You may end up using incorrect terminology or accidentally misgender someone. If someone corrects you, be sure to take their response as a sign for them to want you to grow. If it was an honest mistake by you, no one will hold a grudge. Do your best to not take it personally. Instead, take the response with grace, provide a genuine apology, and move on with your conversation. And finally, be willing to correct others. This may seem daunting, but you can take action for the LGBTQ community on a daily basis. Actions that may seem simple, such as not laughing at someone's homophobic joke or clarifying someone's pronouns, can be a great demonstration of allyship. Keeping yourself and other people in check can help create a larger group of LGBTQ supporters on your campus. Feel free to comment any more suggestions you might have on how to be a better ally for the LGBTQ community. Now, let's head back to our interview with Ross.
I definitely think there's support, although I don't think it's enough. Mm-hmm. We do have professors who will go to bat for us. Yeah. We do have professors who will fight for us, who will do absolutely the world. We have admin who will too, but I feel like we should have much bigger safe spaces. Yeah. I've looked a lot into the local political scenery, mm-hmm. And it gets increasingly conservative at times. Yeah. And that's pretty terrifying. And this is from both a queer and a brown standpoint. Mm-hmm. Having such a conservative area is it's scary. And I think it would be nice if we had a center dedicated mm-hmm. to LGBT stuff. I think it would be pretty beneficial. And I think it would help a lot more students come around. One of the things I have encountered when it comes to getting people to join Pride Club is that they are afraid of outside opinion. They're afraid that someone is going to come and just sort of ruin a lot of the stuff that we've already worked for. And I've said a lot that it's not going to be that way. I mean, as long as I'm here, there's nothing anyone can really do, because I've got my hands in quite a couple of other clubs. I've got sizable power, unfortunately. And I want it to be generally a much safer space. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just as a whole. Yeah, absolutely. I'd say there's quite a lot of different people at Crafton, whether they be queer or on the complete opposite side of that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like a lot of people are trying to advocate more for a certain space. Yeah. Because I know Crafton, I think just yesterday, they had a little safe space meeting mm-hmm. in the Student Life Center. And I popped by for a bit because I wanted to get some footage for that. There was no one there. Yeah. There was just the student life director and I think one or two teachers, but there was no one there. Yeah. Because there are not many people interested in learning about mm-hmm. this, which I think is a shame because I think you can do something so simple just to make everyone else around you comfortable. Yeah. And we had such a fantastic chat before this. You're a veterinarian that wants to work with giraffes and stuff. But if I heard that you use they, them pronouns, and I didn't like that, then I wouldn't get to know anything fantastic about you. Oh, yeah. And make a friend. And I feel like so many people are not willing to have an open mind. Mm-hmm. And I hope that this episode lets people know that even if they have a different identity from you that you might not understand, they're still a cool person. And I think you should try talking to everyone. Yeah. There's always I feel like there's a lot of people on campus who are very vindictive about this. Mm-hmm. It's always sort of a dance to try and find out, are you a safe person? Yeah. And that safe space workshop that happened yesterday, I thought that was a pretty good idea. Mm-hmm. Although I feel like the advertising for that workshop was not very good. Yeah. We did have a Gaypril event on April 2nd. That one had a pretty big turnout. Mm-hmm. It was right in the middle of the cafeteria. Everybody was there. There was a whole bunch of events that were being advertised for that. Yeah. And we had Market Day. Market Day was just right now. Yeah. That was pretty good. We also had Club Rush and I guess having sort of like friendlier faces,
Mm-hmm.
was able to draw more people in. But there is still the fear of like, okay, but what if I can't guarantee anything, but I promise you will be safe here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Were you guys at senior day?
Yes.
How was the reception for that? Because I know it was schools across the Inland Empire, was Redlands, Beaumont, Citrus Valley, Yucaipa High. How did people react to your club? Were they interested?
So I was actually there for art club, but I did do a little bit of advertising for Pride Club.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of students I saw there that I was like, okay, you would definitely benefit from the Pride Club. And the reception was actually pretty good. I was letting them know, I was like, okay, well, we have a pretty strong support system within the club. We have a lot of teachers who are great with this. We have a lot of good resources. I'm doing my best to push in as much change as possible, like positive changes for queer students. And the reception to that was pretty good. I was actually pretty surprised.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because sometimes you hear that like the younger generation is starting to become more accepting. Do you think you'd agree with that?
Yeah, accepting, definitely. I also babysit for a lot of kids, and a lot of kids are really comfortable figuring themselves out, and they do it pretty easily. And I think it's good that we have a lot more positive role models. We have a lot more like media for them to explore, and it gives them the courage to come out, be themselves, do whatever they want, all this kind of good stuff within reason, of course.
Yeah, I like how you said that kids can find out their identity pretty easily, because it ties back to when you just watched The Lion King and you're like, I want to be the boy lion. But when you we were born like in 2000s, around then.
Yes.
There's not many like queer people around, or like letting you know like this is what you could identify as. So it's definitely hard figuring that out as a kid. But I'm hoping as our generation continues, we're able to provide more spaces for those kids too. And I want to ask, do you think that it has been easier to accept your identity as you've gotten older?
Yeah. As I got older, definitely. Because you learn more. You get to do your own research. You get to find things out. You get to explore, really. And you get to see other people your age doing the same thing. It is, definitely been a lot easier getting older. And now that I am older, it's easier for me to look to the younger ones and be like, yeah, this is fine. Yeah. We're going to be okay. All that.
Because I think you're a fantastic role model on this campus. Because, like, community college, you're going to get kids, like, fresh out of high school. They still might be discovering themselves. Like, I know some high schools, they don't have a GSA or, like, Pride or, like, anything like that. And it's kind of, like, looked down upon at some of these high schools. But if they're able to go in and see a friendly face like yours and be like, hey, I'm queer, I'm, like, proud of who I am, they're going to feel so much more comfortable.
Yep, that is the intention.
Identity. So I want you to give a message to the future LGBTQ plus students, to those who are still trying to find their identity or just entering into a higher level of school. What advice or message do you have for them?
It's cheesy, but you're gonna have to be yourself. There is a lot of obstacles and a lot of things that you will have to go through, but it does get easier. That's also pretty cheesy. That's pretty like classic too. It gets easier, definitely. It will be easier. You have to trust yourself as much as possible. The biggest thing you have to do when it comes to this sort of stuff is you have to know who you are, you have to know what you're doing, and you have to know that no one's going to take it away from you, no matter what. People can try, people can scream, they can cry, they can do whatever the hell they want, but it's yours at the end of the day, and it will continue to be yours till you die.
Beautiful, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me, Ross. I want to give a big thank you to Ross for coming on Education Chat and sharing their thoughts regarding the current treatment of LGBTQ plus students. Across the Inland Empire, more and more schools are beginning to implement resources dedicated towards their LGBTQ plus student body. A good example of this is the LGBT Resource Center at UC Riverside. This creates a supportive space on campus to get involved with other students with similar identities. Their center also provides unique benefits, such as LGBTQ plus scholarships, awards, and rainbow tassels and cords for graduation. If your campus does not currently have a dedicated space, there are also different resources you can find outside of your school. For example, the Rainbow Pride Youth Alliance, based in the Inland Empire, is a nonprofit specifically designed for LGBTQ plus youth and young adults alike. The Alliance provides a safe space for young people to meet, make friends, and participate in the various weekly events and activities. They also offer support and resources for gender affirming care and community building. The best part is, it is completely free to attend their events and access their programs. To close out this episode, if you are an LGBTQ student, you are not alone in your journey. Some days may feel lonely or downright scary, but there are people on your campus who are ready to accept you with open arms. Whether it be another member of the community, a trusted faculty member, or a complete stranger in one of your classes, there are more people ready to support you than you might think. Take this time of self-exploration to become comfortable in your own identity, and you will soon be ready to take on the world. Thank you for watching this prideful episode of Education Chat, and I hope to chat with you again soon.